The Galactic Council's exploration vessel Harmony's light dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of Sol System. Commander ZYX Theta's tentacles quivered with excitement as the blue-green jewel of Earth filled their view screen. Finally, the Altarian commander whistled through their breathing slits. A new species to welcome into our peaceful federation. Commander, Science Officer Velnari's crystalline form pulsed with concern. The readings from this planet are disturbing. Massive predator populations, extreme weather variations, and... Nonsense, ZYX Theta interrupted. Every species thinks their homeworld is challenging. Begin standard greeting protocols. But as they approached, the readings became increasingly alarming. The planet's surface temperature varied by over 100 degrees between regions. Massive storms swirled across entire continents. The ocean, covering most of the planet, teemed with creatures that grew to impossible sizes. Sir, Navigation Officer Plixhan warbled nervously, their moon is enormous. The tidal forces alone should have torn this planet apart eons ago. And yet it thrives, ZYX Theta noted, though his confidence wavered. Maintain course. The ship descended through Earth's atmosphere, their sensors detecting a large population center. They landed in Central Park, New York, their arrival timed for what they calculated as the planet's peak activity period, 3 p.m. local time. Hundreds of humans gathered, pointing their primitive recording devices. Some seemed excited, others merely curious. None showed the appropriate terror of first contact with an alien species. ZYX Theta activated the Universal Translator and stepped onto the cargo ramp, his ceremonial contact robes fluttering in Earth's unnervingly strong breeze. Greetings, humans. We come in peace from the Galactic Council. A jogger ran past, earbuds in, completely ignoring the alien delegation. A dog walker's pit bull, a predatory creature that humans apparently kept as companions, began barking aggressively at the aliens, causing several crew members to retreat. The human merely tugged its leash and called out, sorry. He's friendly. Fascinating, muttered xenobiologist Kreetalk, all four of his eyes widening. They show no fear of unknown species. And they've domesticated predators. What truly disturbed them was when a human child, no more than 7 Earth years old, approached without any parental supervision. The child offered them what appeared to be a toxic substance. The scanner confirmed it, capsaicin levels that would kill most known species. Want some hot sauce? The child asked innocently. It's Carolina Reaper flavor. My dad grows them. They're super hot. The child then demonstrated by pouring some on her hand and licking it off, her face barely registering discomfort that would have sent most sentients into toxic shock. As the hours passed, the alien delegation grew increasingly uneasy. They'd set up a formal meeting with Earth's United Nations for the following morning, but something was wrong with this world. Commander Velnari's voice trembled, her crystalline form flickering with distress. The star, it's moving. Don't be ridiculous. Stars don't, ZYX Theta froze as they checked their instruments. From their perspective, Sol was indeed descending toward the horizon. No, whispered Kreetalk, all four eyes dilating in horror. The planet is rotating. The humans, they live on a world that spins. The implications hit them like a gravity wave. A rotating planet meant one side would periodically face away from their star. Away from light. Away from warmth. Into the cosmic void. The crew exchanged terrified glances, their various appendages trembling. Surely they have global illumination systems, ZYX Theta said weakly, his tentacles coiling defensively. Underground shelters? Stasis pods? Emergency protocols? Communications Officer Yixt frantically scanned their databases. Nothing, Commander. Their infrastructure shows no signs of planetary darkness preparation. They're completely exposed. But as they watched through the viewports, the humans continued their activities as if nothing momentous was about to occur. Street vendors packed up their carts, casually discussing something called dinner plans. Office workers headed to things called subway stations, descending underground, not for shelter, but for transportation. Parents called their children inside, but only to feed them, not to protect them from impending cosmic darkness. The sun touched the horizon, painting the sky in what the humans apparently called sunset colors, violent reds and oranges that looked like the sky itself was bleeding. This phenomenon occurred nowhere else in civilized space, where worlds were tidally locked to their stars for safety. Any rational species would have long ago stabilized their planet's rotation. We need to warn them. Security Chief Draxmar's scales had turned pale blue with fear, his warrior's composure cracking. They don't realize what's happening. In mere moments, they'll be plunged into the void. But the humans seemed entirely unconcerned. Some were even gathering in outdoor spaces, setting up equipment to observe the stellar catastrophe. Children played in the dimming light, their laughter carrying across the park. Couples walked hand in hand, pointing at the dying light as if it were entertainment. "They're in denial," Velnari concluded, her voice barely a whisper. "Mass psychosis from generations of trauma. We must help them." A nearby human looked at their ship and waved cheerfully. "Beautiful evening, isn't it?" he called out. "You folks picked a great night to visit. Clear skies forecasted." The casual reference to the approaching darkness as beautiful sent Kretok into a panic spiral. As Sol disappeared below the horizon, the alien crew watched in horror. The sky darkened from blue to purple to black, like a dying creature's final breath. Stars, distant suns that should never be visible from a habitable world's surface, began appearing like eyes of predators in the void. By the sacred nebula, ZYX Theta gasped, his respiratory slits fluttering in panic. They can see the void, the endless, hungry darkness between stars. Yet the humans adapted with terrifying efficiency. Artificial lights activated across the city in a coordinated grid as if they'd rehearsed this response millions of times. Street lamps bloomed to life in synchronized waves. Buildings illuminated from within, their windows becoming beacons against the darkness. Vehicles continued moving, now with forward-mounted illumination beams cutting through the night like weapons. The humans had built an entire civilization designed to function in stellar absence. "Commander!" Tactical Officer HFY chittered in panic, her mandibles clicking uncontrollably. "Motion sensors are detecting massive movement. The predators, they're becoming active." The crew huddled inside their ship, watching the external feeds in disbelief. Nocturnal creatures emerged from hiding with practiced ease. Owls with rotating heads, anatomically impossible on any sane world, launched into silent flight. Bats erupted from hidden roosts and swarms, using echolocation to hunt in perfect darkness. And in the distance, the bone-chilling howl of something called a coyote made 3 crew members faint. "How did the humans survive?" Draxmar asked, his warriors' training useless against this primal fear. Their answer came when they observed a group of humans deliberately venturing out into the darkness. Not fleeing, not hiding, but jogging. For exercise. In the dark. Past predators. Some wore reflective clothing, not armor, just visibility aids. Others had small lights strapped to their heads, illuminating only a few meters ahead, leaving them surrounded by darkness. They're apex predators themselves, Kretok realized with dawning horror, his voice barely audible. They fear nothing on their world because they've conquered everything. Even the night itself. A human approached their ship, causing all the aliens to retreat from the viewports. The human knocked on their hull with bare knuckles, no protective gear against the metal. "Hey," the human called out cheerfully. "You guys okay in there? The museum's doing a special night program on astronomy if you want to join. We've got hot chocolate." The casual mention of consuming heated plant matter in darkness while surrounded by predators sent half the crew into shock. Medical Officer Silnex reported 7 cases of acute stress-induced paralysis. "They're inviting us out," Velnari whispered. "Into the darkness. For recreational education." Inside their ship, the Galactic Council delegation held an emergency meeting. Half the crew was sedated, overwhelmed by the reality of Earth's rotation. The medical bay had run out of calming pheromones, and Silnex was synthesizing more from their emergency reserves. "We must abort the mission," Draxmar insisted, his scales flickering through every color of distress. "These beings evolved on a Deathworld that plunges into darkness every rotation. They're not ready for peaceful galactic society. They're too adapted to horror." "But look at them," Velnari projected a hologram of the city, her crystalline form pulsing with reluctant fascination. "They're thriving. Economic activity continues. Social gatherings persist. They've conquered their fear of the dark." The data was undeniable. Restaurants remained open, filled with humans consuming food in artificial light. Retail establishments continued commerce. Entertainment venues actually became busier after darkness fell. The economic productivity barely dipped. Commander ZYX Theta studied the data with growing amazement. Humans had divided their rotation cycle into day and night, with approximately 1/3 of their population active during the darkness. An entire subset of their civilization functioned in conditions that would send most species into catatonic terror. "There's more," Kretok added, his 4 eyes darting between screens. "I've been analyzing their biology. They have forward-facing predator eyes, but limited night vision compared to their nocturnal fauna. They evolved as diurnal hunters who learned to master the darkness through technology and courage. They chose to conquer the night rather than hide from it." A notification chimed. The humans were sending them messages concerned about their well-being. One message included something called a meme, a cultural transmission unit depicting a frightened alien with text reading, "Afraid of the dark? Welcome to Earth, where we party in the void." "They're mocking us," Draxmar hissed, his warrior's pride stung. No, ZYX Theta realized, studying the communication patterns. They're trying to comfort us through humor. They face cosmic horror every rotation and laugh about it. This is therapeutic comedy. Outside, they observed humans engaging in nightlife, deliberately celebrating during the darkness. Music venues pulsed with rhythmic sounds and flashing lights. Restaurants served meals on outdoor patios, diners eating beneath the star-filled void. Social gatherings continued as if the absence of their star meant nothing. "Commander," HFY called out, her voice shaking. "You need to see this." On the screen, a human couple sat on a bench watching the stars. Rather than cowering from the infinite void, they seemed to find it romantic. One human pointed at a constellation, telling stories about mythological figures. They created entire fictional narratives about the darkness. They gave names to the darkness, Velnari whispered in awe. They made friends with the void. As Earth's rotation reached its furthest point from Sol, what humans called midnight, the alien crew made more disturbing discoveries. The ship's chronometer showed they were now at maximum distance from their star's light, yet human activity showed no signs of cessation. "Commander, I've been researching their history," Kretok reported, his voice trembling with disbelief. Before artificial lighting, humans would navigate by starlight alone. They crossed oceans in darkness, guided only by the cosmic void we fear. They called them navigators and wayfinders, humans who could read the darkness itself. "Impossible," ZYX Theta muttered, but the evidence was undeniable. Historical records showed Vikings crossing treacherous seas at night, Polynesian navigators island hopping by starlight, desert caravans traveling by night to avoid heat. Their external sensors detected a human gathering in the park. 20 young humans had assembled around a small fire they'd created, deliberately generating combustion in the darkness. Instead of huddling for safety, they were telling ghost stories, fictional narratives designed to frighten each other. For entertainment, they were literally celebrating fear. They weaponized fear itself as a social bonding mechanism, Velnari observed, her crystalline form flickering with confusion. They gather in darkness to deliberately invoke terror, then laugh about it. "This is recreational trauma," one human was saying, and then the hook was hanging from the car door handle. The others screamed in mock terror, then dissolved into laughter. They were manufacturing fear for enjoyment. Suddenly, their proximity alarms triggered. Something large was approaching the ship. The crew panicked, weapons systems coming online, until they realized it was a single human carrying boxes. One lone human, traversing the darkness without any protective gear or weapons. "Pizza delivery," the human announced cheerfully. "The museum staff said you guys might be hungry. They weren't sure what aliens eat, so they got half vegetarian. That'll be $47.50. The concept of a lone human traveling through predator-infested darkness to deliver food for monetary compensation broke Draxmar's understanding of survival instincts. This human was risking death for currency tokens. "How are you not terrified?" he asked through the communication system, his voice cracking. The delivery driver laughed, adjusting his insulated bag. "Of what? It's just nighttime, dude. Though I guess if you're not from Earth, yeah, I suppose it would be pretty weird that we live on a spinning rock. Never thought about it that way. Anyway, pizza's getting cold." The human waited patiently in the darkness, occasionally checking something called a phone, completely unconcerned about the void above or the predators around him. He even hummed something called music while waiting. After the human left, riding away on a two-wheeled vehicle through the darkness, ZYX Theta made a command decision. "We're going outside." "Commander, no," multiple crew members protested simultaneously. "We're representatives of the Galactic Council. If we can't face what human children endure every rotation, what does that say about us?" The alien delegation, wearing every piece of protective equipment they had, ventured into Earth's night. 7 crew members required mild sedatives just to step outside. Draxmar wore his full combat suit. Velnari activated all her defensive shields, and Kretok had all 4 eyes dilated to maximum aperture. The darkness pressed against them like a physical thing, a living entity that seemed to swallow sound and light. Yet the humans they encountered offered only friendly greetings. "Evening," called out a jogger, barely breaking stride. A group of teenagers on skateboards performed tricks under a streetlight, defying gravity and darkness simultaneously. An elderly woman walked a tiny dog, both equally unconcerned about the cosmic void overhead. They were guided to the museum by a cheerful volunteer named Marcus, who kept pointing out interesting features of the night. The moon's phase, visible planets, the sounds of nocturnal birds. He seemed genuinely puzzled by their full-body armor. Inside, a night shift of humans worked as if Sol still blessed them with light. The museum had arranged a special presentation about Earth's rotation and its effects on evolution, led by Dr. James Harrison. "You see," explained the curator, gesturing enthusiastically, "life on Earth adapted to the cycle of day and night. It created biodiversity with different species occupying different temporal niches. Nocturnal predators, diurnal herbivores, crepuscular hunters all sharing the same space but different times. But the psychological trauma," Velnari interjected, her shields flickering with anxiety. "How do you cope with regular exposure to cosmic darkness?" Dr. Harrison looked genuinely puzzled, adjusting his glasses. "Trauma? We find it peaceful. Some of our best thinking happens at night. Artists, writers, scientists, many prefer working when it's quiet and dark. Einstein, Tesla, countless others did their best work at night. The aliens were shown human achievements, massive observatories that studied the cosmos during darkness, turning their greatest fear into humanity's window to understanding the universe. They learned about nocturnal agricultural practices, some plants only blooming at night. Cities that never slept, with entire industries devoted to nighttime operations, hospitals, security, transportation, entertainment. In fact, Dr. Harrison continued, pulling up medical data, many humans suffer from too much light. Light pollution is a serious concern. We need darkness for proper sleep cycles, melatonin production, circadian rhythm regulation. Our bodies evolved expecting regular periods of night. Kretok scanned several humans and confirmed it. Their biology didn't just tolerate darkness, it required it. They hadn't just adapted to their Deathworld's rotation, they'd become dependent on it. Without darkness, humans actually became ill. "We have a saying," Dr. Harrison smiled. "The night is dark and full of terrors." It's from a fictional show, but we've always known darkness holds both danger and beauty. We chose to see the beauty. He pointed to a window where the moon, Earth's massive natural satellite, reflected Sol's light. Even in our darkness, we're never truly alone. The moon, the stars, and each other. That's all we need. The alien delegation stayed awake through the entire Earth night, observing humanity's mastery over darkness. They watched police officers patrol with casual confidence. Medical workers save lives under artificial suns, and factories produce goods in defiance of the cosmic void. The night shift workers greeted each other with camaraderie, bonded by their shared conquest of darkness. As the eastern sky began to lighten, painting the horizon in subtle gradients of deep blue to purple, humans gathered to watch what they called sunrise. The aliens initially assumed this was a celebration of surviving another night, but the humans' attitude suggested something entirely different. "It's beautiful," one human said wistfully, sipping coffee from a thermal container. "But I'll miss the stars." Miss the darkness? The concept shattered the aliens' remaining assumptions. Several humans were actually photographing the fading night sky, trying to capture the last moments of darkness before day reclaimed the world. Commander ZYX Theta found himself standing next to a human child who was fighting sleep to see the dawn. The child's parent had brought blankets and hot chocolate, making an event of the transition. "Are you glad the scary night is over?" ZYX Theta asked gently, all three of his hearts aching with sympathy for the young one. The child looked confused, rubbing sleepy eyes. "Scary? Nighttime isn't scary. That's when we see shooting stars and tell stories. Plus, Batman only comes out at night. And fireflies. And we can use flashlights to make shadow puppets. Night is the best." The child's parent smiled. "She's always been a night owl. Fights bedtime every evening because she doesn't want to miss the darkness." As Sol crested the horizon, painting the sky in brilliant colors that looked like cosmic fire, the Galactic Council delegation faced a complete paradigm shift. The gathered humans watched with appreciation but not relief. Some were already planning their activities for the next night, stargazing parties, night hiking, evening concerts under the stars. Commander Velnari said quietly, her crystalline form resonating with new understanding. "I've been calculating. Humans spend roughly half their lives in darkness. They're as much creatures of night as they are of day. They're binary beings existing in two states." Dr. Harrison joined them for the sunrise, offering them coffee, a stimulant humans use to maintain alertness. "So, will Earth be joining your Galactic Council?" ZYX Theta's tentacles moved in what humans might recognize as embarrassment. Dr. Harrison, I must confess something. We came here to offer you membership to uplift you from your challenging world. But after tonight, I believe it is we who have much to learn from you. Oh, what could we possibly teach advanced aliens? How to face the darkness without fear. How to find beauty in the void. How to thrive when your star abandons you. ZYX Theta paused, watching the human child chase shadows as the sun rose higher. Most species achieve space travel to escape their world's limitations. You achieved it while celebrating them. As the day began and the alien delegation prepared to leave, they carried with them a new understanding. Earth wasn't just a death world, it was a forge that had created something unprecedented, a species that danced with darkness and called it friend. Their report to the Galactic Council would be simple. Humanity was ready to join the galactic community, but the galaxy might not be ready for humanity. After all, any species that could look at the hungry void between stars and decide to have a picnic under it was capable of anything. Epilogue. 6 months later, human tourists began visiting council worlds, cheerfully requesting night simulators and complaining about the boring, tidally locked planets with eternal daylight. Don't you have any predators? They'd ask. What about weather? Storms? Something? The greatest culture shock came when humans introduced the concept of camping, deliberately leaving safe habitats to sleep exposed to nature. The Galactic Council quietly updated humanity's classification from newly contacted to approach with extreme caution, friendly. Meanwhile, on Earth, children continued to wish upon stars, lovers met under moonlight, and night shift workers kept the world running while half the planet slept peacefully in the dark. The universe had thought darkness was its greatest weapon against life. It had never met humans.